Okay, so we're ready for John to start live streaming?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you know. Oh, he says he's starting.
Okay.
So about 5 seconds, he'll be up and running.
Okay. Just say go.
He's giving me a thumbs up, so it's a go.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Somerset County Board of Education Open Regular Public Meeting, December 15th, 2020. Do we have Ron on or? Okay. We're going to skip forward a little bit, and we're going to do the approval of the open session minutes, October 20th, 2020. You have a copy of them before you. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve?
Penny,
Yes.
before you, on page 6 of those of the regular minutes for October 20th. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. The first sentence there, change that to the.
Are we on food nutrition report?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
That was the only thing.
All right. With that correction in mind, may I have a motion to approve the October 2020 minutes?
So too many 20s.
Okay.
I so move Troy Bringham.
It's been motioned by Troy Bringham. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Patty Monk. All those in favor, we'll call for a roll call vote. The chairman votes aye to accept. Vice President Margot Green-Gale.
Aye.
Board member Robert Wells is absent. Mr. Troy Brittingham.
Aye.
Board member Mrs. Patty Monk.
Aye.
Superintendent Dr. John Gaddis. Dr. Gaddis.
He
The
doesn't.
superintendent does not vote.
But I don't vote on the minute.
Oh, you don't? Okay. So that takes care of it. It was the motion to approve the minutes of October 20th have been approved unanimously with the exception of Mr. Wells, who was absent. Moving right along. Pardon me? Moving right along. The open. Pardon me? You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Now, could everybody turn their mic off unless?
Miss Margot, you need to mute your mic again.
Again? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Come back here, honey. Come back. There we go.
Okay. Okay. Next on the agenda are the approval of the regular session minutes of November 17th, 2020. Are there any corrections or additions? Margot, are we good?
Yes. On the last page, under announcements, that should be December 15th, 2020, rather than the 18th or whatever.
Okay. All right. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of November regular open session meeting as amended?
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second, Troy Brittingham.
it's been moved by Patty Monk and seconded by Mr. Brittingham. All those in favor with a roll call vote. Chairman Nicholson votes aye. Ms. Margot,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Wells again is absent. Troy Brittingham
Aye.
and Board Member Patty Monk.
Aye.
It was again unanimous with the exception of Mr. Wells, who is absent. Thank you very much. Okay. Is Mr. Hickman ready? Ms. Johnson?
All right, I see he is on here. Let me.
Just say ready when he's ready.
Okay, I will do that. Thanks.
All right. Earlier this afternoon, the Board of Education met in a closed executive session to review and approve the closed meetings of October 20th, 2020 and November 17th, 2020, to review and discuss the personnel report and on confidential personnel matters, section 3-305B of the annotated code, and to consult to discuss confidential legal matters and obtain legal advice on appeals, section 3-305B7, and to perform administrative functions and other confidential matters. Unfinished business. Dr. Gaddis? Oh, looks like Mr. Hickman's ready. Yes? No?
All right, how about if I move forward and when
Go ahead.
Ron's oh. Ron, are you there? How about I keep rolling and Mrs. Johnson can let us know when they're ready?
Okay.
Okay, before you, the board has policy 100-13, which is our school board meetings for second reader. It was simply an update as we've been working through a number of policies. 100-13 was changed when there were two meetings. We simply changed the wording on the first page to say that our regular meeting will be the third Tuesday of each month. However, subject to the convenience of the board, a different meeting date, provided that there's reasonable notice given, can be scheduled. Also, you will see through the document, there are places where the annotated code reference was updated. And that was in 2 places on page 2, 2 places on page 3, and 1 on the last page. So nothing substantive except that we have the 1 meeting and still reserve the right to call an extra meeting if needed. So I'm asking for final approval of policy 100-13.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve or adopt policy number 113?
I so move, Troy Brittingham.
And I second Margot Gale.
Okay, thank you very much. Roll call vote. Chairman Nicholson votes yes for approval. Ms. Gale?
Yes.
Mr. Wells is absent. Ms. Troy Brittingham?
Aye.
Board Member Patty Monk?
Aye.
Okay, the vote is unanimous except for the exception of Mr. Wells, who is absent.
Okay, thank you. The second policy you have in front of you is for first reader. It is policy 600-18. It is early childhood school admissions. And what this does is establish admission policies for early childhood programs, and it aligns us with state law and COMAR. It includes sections on allowing local boards to adopt regulations for early admission of children who missed the cutoff date. Remember, there is an established cutoff date for pre-K, K, and grade 1. That information is included, and you can see the entire policy is a new policy. So it addresses those 3 areas and aligns with, again, state law and with COMAR. So I'm asking that policy 600-18 be approved for first reader.
Okay. All right. May I have a motion to accept policy 600-18 for first reader, for first reader? Again, a roll call vote. Chairman Nicholson votes yes.
Hold on.
Vice
Yeah,
Chairman? Pardon
I
me?
so move. Troy
There,
Brittingham.
there hadn't been a motion yet.
Oh, that's right. So Troy has moved. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Mr. Brittingham and Ms. Gale. All those in favor with a roll call vote. Chairperson votes yes. Vice Chairman Margot Gringale.
Yes. Aye.
Okay, Mr. Walls again is absent for this vote. Board Member Brittingham,
Aye.
Board Member Monk.
Aye.
Again, the vote was unanimous with the exception of Mr. Wells, who is absent. Thank you. Right.
Chairperson Nicholson, would you like to try one more time?
Yes, let's go for it.
All right.
Okay.
All
Mrs.
right.
Johnson, Chief Finance,
Oh.
will present with Mr. the 221 Financial Audit report.
Well, I'm trying to see if he can say something. It looks like he's muted now.
This thing keeps jumping all around there.
So hold on.
I think
Ronnie?
it's *6 on your phone.
He says he can hear everything that we're saying.
He just needs to, I believe it's *6 to be able to unmute his phone.
All right.
Oh, he's
Are we
unmuted. There
Oh,
we
yay!
go.
Chris, yay!
Oh my goodness. My
Welcome,
blood
Mr.
pressure's so high. I'm trying everything and I don't know what's going on the screen. I see, but oh, I'm so sorry, folks.
It's all right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Tell me Fulton Jeffers is not ahead of me on the technology curve is all I ask.
I had my troubles
he's
tonight too. Don't worry.
He's an old friend, my man.
Yeah, I'm kidding, but he and I have been doing this a long time. So I'll get right to it in case something else goes wrong. Linda, am I still okay?
Yes, you're good.
Yes.
You tell me when.
Now,
Okay. Okay. Good evening, folks. And yeah, this is the 2020 audit. And I just want to start out by thanking Linda and all her staff. As we all know, these are challenging times and doing an audit. You know, we certainly took advantage of the electronic, abilities that we had with PDFs and emails. And Linda, I just thank you guys because as you know, while a lot of things got extended, MSDE did not extend the deadline for submitting audits September 30th. And because of your staff and your hard work and pulling everything together, allowed us to meet that deadline. And it was tough, but you got everything in order and we really do appreciate that. Okay. I just prayed I'm not being heard. So that sound okay?
Yep, we hear you. We hear you.
Okay. Linda, I'll just get right to the audit. The most important part from our standpoint is the opinion. We have an auditor's opinion, which I'll just summarize by saying it's an unqualified, clean opinion, which states that these financial statements are accurate and fairly present the financial operations of the Somerset Board of Ed. The second report refers to internal controls. As in the past, that is a clean report. As you know, with a large operation, it's important, especially in these times where, we're all in different places, that our internal controls maintain. We still need the checks and balances, and this report addresses that and is a clean report, says there are no material weaknesses in your internal controls. That is the two reports that we do. It's a 63-page financial statement. I'm just going to hit what I think are the key areas. There is a management discussion and analysis section on page 8. I would encourage anyone that doesn't want to look through all 60-some pages to look at this. It really does lay out a nice summary of the financial results. Discusses what some of the reports mean in the statements. And it's, again, a good place to start if you just want a summary of everything that's in the financials. Linda, I'm going to go right to the budgetary page, which is page 51 on the audit. I think that's probably the most important, that reflects your operating budget compared to the actual results. As you know, we did have a surplus. It was a crazy year for everybody. I think primarily we had some savings in our expenditure categories, salaries and fringe benefits. That allowed you to create a surplus for the year. What the board did, I think, a few months ago was we designated some of that for next year's expenses. Linda, jump in anytime if you want to, dive in something more detail. After we designated some of the fund balance for the year we're in now, we were left over with $428,000 that I presume will be utilized when you do the budget in the spring for the following year.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think, for a number of years, we've had a smaller fund balance, but, as luck would have it, this year was strange in many ways. So you were fortunate, and I commend you for having these budget savings that you can then utilize to assist with future budgets this year, and of course the budget that you'll be working on in the spring. So that accounts for $43 million of your operating budget. The other significant area that we look at is the food service operations. We audit 8 school boards, and I don't think I probably have to say that it was a difficult year for food service operations without, all the meals and so forth. So we did have a deficit there, as I think probably every school board did. I mean, that's just, it was nothing else you could do. I mean, the meals weren't there, so the reimbursements weren't there. Of course, the expenses were there because you continue to serve meals. So that did have a deficit, but that's what we saw across the shore with all the other boards. Linda, I think you said you're working on projections for this year as we speak.
Yes. Yeah. It's a tough year.
Tough year. Yep. And again, I just want to echo that is, what we've seen with, many of the counties that we're involved in, and which are all located on the shore. So they're the 2 large operations. We have a school projects fund. It had, I think, around $8 million that came in and went out. That was mostly, I believe, finishing up the technology center. Linda, there may have been another project in there, but I think that was most of what that money that came in and what that was used for.
Yes.
So, Linda, anything else to add with the operating budget? Again, it was a little different this year with the surplus. I don't know if you want to expand on anything that I've said, or if that's clear how that works with everybody.
No, I think we have talked about it in prior board meetings, and
Okay.
And so, yeah, we realized some savings based, with some of the reduced costs that we had for last year
Sure.
while we were closed. And so we tried to designate some of that money to use for this year so that, if we had additional transportation expenditures and things that we just, coming back and opening a school during this time, there's extra costs associated with that. We wanted to make sure we had enough money set aside for this year for that.
Well, I commend you for being able to have that because, we're in such uncertain times that, a reserve fund balance for what, may be unanticipated or something we can't predict is a nice cushion that you have for now. So that's the operating budget. We also we have a report for the federal programs, and Linda, I said I'll get you a copy of that. That's a clean opinion, no findings with your federal programs because of all the grants that you get. We have to do a separate single audit, if you will, and again, that is a clean report with no findings. And I'll be glad to expand on anything in the financial statements. Many of the pages are details of what we just kind of talked about in terms of highlights. In the accounting world, we have to have a footnote for everything, and there's some really complicated ones in there on, retiree benefits and retiree pension liabilities. But most of that doesn't really impact the current budget. That's just a future liability that we have to record in the financial statements in the front. But a lot of detail information on those things that I think MSDE certainly looks at in detail. But again, they're standard footnotes that just explain in more detail the information that's in the financial statement.
Dr. Gaddis, did you have a question? I see your hand is raised.
I just wanted to thank you and your staff and also Ronnie for all their work. I know it was a very different year having to do the audit the way it has, but I appreciate the way your both staffs work together. The times we're living with all the federal funds that are coming in and all the maneuvering that has to happen to address the pandemic and the needs and the food and the virtual and the devices. There's a lot that could go wrong, and it's just very satisfying to know that, again, we've got another clean audit, and everybody was able and more than willing to work together. So thank you to both of you for your leadership in your different groups. And it's, as a board, it's always great when you get a clean audit and moving forward into a new year.
And thank you, Dr. Gass. I echo everything you said. And I just want to commend you all again. Internal controls is so important. And we saw this year that, people were in different places and to have the checks and balances still working, we expect to see that, but we understand it's more challenging now. But in a $50 million operation, it's so important that you have those controls. And again, I commend you guys for, I can't imagine the different, procedures and things you had to do to make it work, because you guys are educating a lot of kids, and I can't even begin to imagine the challenges that go in with that. But we can just thank the staff that we work with, and because they're the reason that allow a $50 million audit to get done in 3 months after the close of the year. I mean, heck, they gave us 7 months on tax returns this year, but no extensions here. But we thank you all for allowing us to come in and get this, meet the deadlines and have a clean opinion. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Linda.
Thank you.
Pardon me? Okay. Sorry for my technology challenges, but I'm glad we got through it.
All right, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gaddis. Thank you.
Have a nice
See you,
holiday.
Paul. Bye-bye.
Okay. Alrighty. Pick up where we left off. New business. Policy 100-2 for first reader, Dr. Gaddis.
Yes, Madam Chair, we've been working on a number of policies. We're working through the 100s as well as some others. 100-2 is the involvement policy. It is a board policy. There is a correction under C on the front that takes out number 2, and there is a correction on the back that simply is for grammar. The superintendent's council is the same thing. It's a student advisory committee. So there is nothing substantive to that, but those are the changes, and I'm asking for approval for first reader of policy 100-2.
Can we do
Now, if there's
first
no
and final?
substantive change, can't you do first and final?
If that's okay, yes.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve first and final on policy 5? I've lost my paper here.
It's 100-2.
Thank
Penny.
you.
Here it is. That was 613. Policy 100-2.
I so move, Troy Brittingham.
Mhm.
It's been
And I
moved by Mr. Brittingham. Is there a second?
And I second it, Marco Gale.
And Marco Gale has seconded. May I, is all those in favor? A roll call vote. Chairman votes to approve. Vice President Margot Green Gale.
Motion to, I approve.
Okay. Board Member Mr. Wells is absent. Board Member Mr. Troy Brittingham.
Aye.
Board Member Mrs. Monk.
Aye.
The vote was unanimous with the exception of Mr. Wells, who is absent. Thank you.
Good.
Okay. Policy 500-4.
Yes, policy 500-4. We've had a lot of discussion over policy 500-4 and 19. What we found is that there was some confusion between the two policies and words that were being used in both that belonged in one and not the other, and vice versa. So 500-4 explains to you the work of the curriculum development. It updates from the Maryland Voluntary State Curriculum and core learning goals to the Maryland College and Career Standards. It also takes a lot of what was in this policy, and especially at the end, which were procedures, and attached to your document is a curriculum development administrative procedures page. And that information was taken directly from the policy to the procedures, because procedures don't belong in a policy. So I really do need you to look through this and read through this document as it guides what we do with curriculum. So 500-4 is in front of you for approval for first reader.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept 500-4 curriculum
Thank you.
development for first reader?
I so move, Troy Brittingham.
Okay. It's been
I second.
It's been moved by Mr. Brittingham and seconded by Ms. Margot Green Gale. All those in favor? Chairperson votes yes. Vice Chairman Margot Green Gale.
Yes. Aye.
Board Member Mr. Robert Wells is absent. Board Member Troy Brittingham.
Aye.
Board Member Mrs. Patty Monk.
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous with the exception of Mr. Wells, who is absent. Okay. Policy 519.
Policy 519 is selection of media center materials. You'll see on the first page where we started working on the fact that we're talking about media center materials and the role that they play in supporting the academic programs. You will see as you go through, there's a section on guidelines. And again, guidelines are there to help us as we move forward. And there's some wordsmithing, again, being consistent that we're looking at media center materials and how they are chosen and how they support the academic programs. You then get to the bottom of page 2, where we talk about how the process that we go through in weeding those materials. Those and that exact wording has now been moved to the procedures, because that, again, is where those belong. You then go through 99% of page 3 is, again, it's procedures, it's the appeal process. It belongs in the procedures. So word for word, that's been taken out and that has been moved. And then lastly, on page 4, we have procedures for what happens when books are donated. Again, for the 10th time tonight, procedures belong in the guidelines. So we move those over. The administrative procedures are also included. Again, this is for your review, so I'm asking for first reader. But if you have any questions during the 30 days over break and whatnot, please feel free to reach out because, again, this policy, of any, had the most, even though the changes are moving procedures out of policy and putting them in the guidelines. So I'm asking for 500-19 approval for first reader.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Gass, I do have a question.
Okay.
Is this strictly for materials in the media center, or does this include material that teachers may have in their classroom to supplement?
This is simply media center materials. Things that will come out, in the old school words, stuff that comes out of the library.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to approve for first reader.
Okay, it's moved.
Second, Troy Brittingham.
It's been moved and seconded by Ms. Margot Green-Gown, seconded by Troy Brittingham. All those in favor or roll call?
What was it?
Chairperson Nicholson votes yes for first reader. Ms. Margot Green-Gown.
Yes. Aye.
Board Member Robert Wells is absent. Board Member Mr. Troy Brittingham.
Aye.
Board Member Mrs. Patty Mock.
Aye.
Okay. The vote was unanimous with the exception of Mr. Robert Wells, who's absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is a calendar change for 12-month employees. Dr. Gaddis.
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the board, as we've done in the past, there are a number of days that the board needs to be able to work what I'm at over the winter break, but we've always closed our buildings for winter break for energy savings. I'm asking that we be able to do that again for this break. The reality of the situation is staff is working over the holidays anyway. When we talk about reopening and what we need to do, we can do a lot of that from home, if not most of that. So I'm asking that we be allowed to shut our buildings down. They will be checked every single day by a staff member so that we know everything is functioning properly. We don't have water leaks. If there is an alarm, staff will respond. But I'm just asking, there are 4 additional days that we be able to shut the buildings down for those energy savings. We really do knock the degrees back, and we've been able to save a substantial amount of money by being able to do this. And then a day or two before, we warm everything back up, so when staff come in after the new year. So I'm requesting that you give me permission to be able to do that because it's only 12-month folks that are in the building.
Okay. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the calendar change to shut down over the holiday break?
I so move, Troy Brittingham.
Second, Patty Monk.
It's been moved and seconded by Mr. Brittingham and Ms. Monk. Roll call vote. All those in favor? Chairperson votes yes. Vice Chairperson Margot Gannon.
Aye, yes.
Board Member Mr. Wells is absent. Board Member Troy Brittingham.
Aye.
Board Member Monk.
Aye.
Okay. Vote was unanimous with the exception of Mr. Wells, who is absent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay. Monthly finance reports, Mrs. Johnson. Is Linda still here?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. I'm
But-
okay.
Yes.
Good evening, Chairperson Nicholson, Dr. Gaddis, and board members. We're halfway through fiscal year 21, which hardly seems possible. And what a year it has been so far. It's just crazy. We have in November, we spent $3,694,823, which brings our total for the year as of November 30th to $14,824,598. As you can see from your report, we have allocated 71% of our budget so far at this point. We are beginning the budget process, and packets will be going out this week. And we will meet with the principals and the supervisors when we return in January. Though I'm guessing it's going to look a little bit different this year. We'll probably meet virtually, which we've never done before, but we're doing all kinds of things virtually, it seems like. I was just thinking, if we could have thought back to December of last year, could we have ever imagined that this is how we would be holding board meetings? It's just crazy. So we are, as we look towards our budget, we're hoping that when the legislature comes back, they enact some hold harmless provisions that will allow our funding to, at the very least, remain level with what it's been in the past. As you know, a lot of our state funding is based on enrollment, and we have seen declines in enrollment, as has every other district in the state. And so everyone is really concerned about how that's going to impact the state formulas for fiscal year 22. So we're hoping that the legislature will address that. On our CFO call today, we also actually discussed the fact that apparently there is a federal stimulus bill that may be voted on Friday. And so we're not totally sure what's in there for school systems, but hopefully that will address some of our needs as well. We're also eagerly awaiting the start of the legislative session in January to see if the legislature will override Governor Hogan's veto of the Kerwin bill. So that is significant for us as well. And also if they will make some changes in the funding formula. So that is where we stand with that. And we're hoping for good news when the legislature comes back in session in January. Any questions?
Troy?
A few questions. Looking at the November expenditures, I see that some of our categories are already at either 99 or 100%. And I was just wondering what is included in those categories, and do you foresee budget transfers in the future?
Well, there are some that are very close, and what's included in those numbers have all of the salaries encumbered through the end of the year. So some of those areas of the budget don't ever have a lot of extra left over. One of them is the special ed admin cost. For the most part, that's the supervisor salaries and the grant associate that's in there. There are a few other expenditures in that category. So we don't typically have a lot left over. We don't, over budget in that category. So I'm sure that in the future, as the year goes on, we will definitely have to have some budget transfers. But right now we're doing really well. It's just one of those years where, you have some savings here that you didn't know that you were going to have. And so it's, that's kind of why there's some small amounts left in some, but, we're still in a good spot with them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Without any further questions, may I have a motion to approve the November 2020 finance report?
I so move Troy Brittingham.
It's been moved by Troy. Is there a second? It's been
Second.
seconded by Patty Monk. Roll call vote. All those in favor? Chairperson Nicholson votes yes. Marco Green-Gale, Vice Chairman. Margo.
Aye.
Okay. Now you made me lose Mr. Wells is absent. Ms. Monk.
Aye.
All right. Mr. Brittingham, did you vote?
Aye.
Aye, okay. The vote was unanimous with the exception of Mr. Wells, who is absent. Food nutrition report.
Okay. The food service reports are included in your packet for your review. We know that we are currently operating at a large loss this year. And as Ronnie was talking about earlier, it's not unusual. Every district is seeing a decline in meals served, which means a decline in reimbursements, no a la carte sales that usually boost your budgets. So we know that we're going to end the year with a deficit. We are hoping that there is, in the stimulus package, that there is something that will address these losses that we have in our food service fund, because that it's the same everywhere. All across the country, there's issues with food service funds and operations in school districts. Our meals decreased dramatically. We are adding a few more meal distribution sites to see if we can serve a few more meals to the children that really need them. And so that's kind of where we are with food service at this point. And, closer to the end of the year, we may have to address how we're going to kind of cover some of those losses if we need to make a transfer from the general fund. But like I said, hopefully we're hoping that the federal stimulus packages will kind of help step in and help ease that burden for our food service programs. Any questions?
We all hope that. Patty, I believe you have a question. Patty Monk.
No question. I think I hit the wrong button.
Oh, your hand go up. All right. Thank you, Linda. Thanks for getting us through a great audit as usual, and for your reports.
Thank you.
Okay. Personnel report.
Madam Chairman, could I ask a question?
Sure.
Is Linda still there?
Yeah, Linda.
Yes.
Okay. I had it circled on my paper. Mary and Sarah Payton, which is no longer our responsibility. Why is that on the list?
It's on there. That's last year's column for the meal served. So that's last year. They were still, it wasn't Mary and Sarah Payton. It was ALC. You just didn't change the name on there.
Oh, okay. I that's what I kind of thought, but I wasn't sure. That's why I put an asterisk there so I could ask the question. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Miss Whitelock.
Yes, good evening, Chairperson Nicholson, members of the board, Dr. Gaddis. The personnel report this month is very short. We have 2 contractual employees for your information and a long-term substitute for your information.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any discussion? I'll call for the vote. I'll call for a motion to accept the personnel report.
Motion to accept report, Patty Monk.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, Margot
Okay.
Gale.
It's been moved and seconded by Patty Monk and Mrs. Gale. All those in favor?
Aye. Roll call.
Oh, I forgot to do the roll call thing. Chairperson Nicholson votes yes. Mrs. Gale voted yes, correct?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay.
Aye. Excuse me.
Board Member Troy Brittingham,
Aye.
Board Member Patty Monk,
Aye.
and Mr. Wells is absent this evening. So the vote was unanimous with the exception of Mr. Wells. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Correspondence to the board. Is there any correspondence to the board, Dr. Gaddis?
Yes, I've sent you emails that we received from Mr. Matt Langford, Mr. Coley Ward, and Miss Triglia Matsky of some concerns, and one from Mr. Ward on behalf of the Somerset County Bus Drivers Association. But I will resend those this evening so you have them, and that is the only correspondence this month.
Okay. All right, thank you. The board will conduct an open regular meeting on Tuesday, January the 19th, 2021 at 4 p.m. to immediately consider voting to convene in a closed meeting pursuant to Section 3-305B of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. The board will reconvene in the open regular session at 6 p.m. The meeting will be streamed live to townhallstreams.com. Check our website and Facebook for that information. Additional information can be found on the Somerset County Public Schools website. Superintendent and board comments. Dr. Gaddis, do you want to start?
Sure, I'll be glad to start. First of all, I want to acknowledge and thank Mrs. Patty Monk. This is Patty's last board meeting. We actually have a proclamation for her, but I didn't want to do that online. So hopefully next month we can have her back, have a little reception of 25 and under, and we can read that and present that to her. But Patty stepped up big. She was a big part of our school system. She retired, and then when General Sumter was called to the state board, she stepped up big, and I've enjoyed having her on the board, and I publicly wanted to thank her for everything that she's done, for the viewpoints that she's expressed, and I appreciate her expressing her viewpoints. And we've had a good time, and I wish her well now as she, I think, truly is going to go and retire. But I just again publicly wanted to thank Patty for her continued support and commitment to the school system, and most importantly, to the children of Somerset County.
Thank you, Dr. Gaddis.
You're welcome. Also, just a couple things. While we're saying goodbye to Patty, I want to welcome Mr. Caleb Shores. Since this officially is Patty's last meeting, Mr. Shores will be sworn in at our January meeting. That'll be the first thing that happens in that meeting. He'll be receiving a welcome letter from me that'll go out tomorrow morning, now that officially Patty is done her service, with a copy of the board handbook. I know, Madam Chair, you reached out to him as well, so we look forward to working with Mr. Shores. The big thing two things on my mind is I wish everybody the best this holiday season, no matter what you celebrate. we hope that you're able to spend some time as you can with your family, with your friends. And most importantly, please continue to be safe. Please continue to follow the guidelines that have been for board members, for superintendents, for everybody. But I have to remind everybody that we're guided by metrics. And those metrics that have been established for us to reopen school are 5% and 15 per 100,000. Today in Somerset County, our numbers were 13.51% and 137.19. We can't reopen school with those numbers. And I've said this before, and I don't know if people believe us or not, but there's nobody who wants to open the schools more than the board members, the superintendent, and staff. We want to have our students back, but we have to pay attention to those metrics. So I'm asking our community to help us reopen by doing those simple things. I know a lot of people that have this last month and a half have been affected by COVID. Some it's taken by surprise, and some have had a very tough time with it. And so luckily they've recovered, but no matter where you fall on this subject, the issue is if we're not at 5 and 15 for 7 consecutive days, we can't open. So what that means on December 28th, there's going to be a Monday afternoon phone call. And if our metrics aren't where they need to be, we can't open up on the 4th. And if we don't open up on the 4th, on the 11th, there's going to be an afternoon phone call from me that if the numbers aren't right, we can't open up on the 11th. And so we need everybody to understand that. I know there's frustration everywhere. It's not only in Somerset, it's across the state and across the country in dealing with this. But now there seems to be a vaccine on the way. So I just hope everybody will help us be able to reopen by doing what they need to do. Be happy, be safe, celebrate the season, and we look forward to a different and a successful 2021. Thank you.
Patty?
I would just like to take this time, first of all, to thank Linda Johnson, her staff, for another clean audit. Numbers are so beyond me, and it's amazing what she can do with those every year. So thank you, Linda. Just wanted to let everyone know it's been an honor to serve the people of Somerset County, especially the students and staff of Somerset County Public Schools. I want to thank all of you who have helped me in my job. I hate calling names because I'll forget somebody, but especially Dr. Gaddis, Penny, Margot, Troy, Bobby, Fulton, Tracy, Tom, Melissa, you make us all look good. And to John and Jill over the past few months who have really helped us with our technology challenges. It's been a unique year with the pandemic, and we've had to make some hard decisions, and I leave the board with more hard decisions to make in the next few months, but know that I wish you just like our motto says, I wish you much success and nothing less. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you, Patty. Troy?
I just want to say thank you, Ms. Johnson, and your staff for another clean audit. It was a challenging year with, COVID and things not being as we wish them to be, but you guys still managed to do everything you need to do to have a clean audit as always. Patty, I'm going to thank you for working alongside me the past few years as a former teacher, and then as a board member. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I wish you the best. I'm sure it won't be the last we see of you. I want to welcome Mr. Caleb Shores to us, and I can't wait to start working with you in the new year. And I just want to say thank you to our parents, to our teachers, to our students. This has been a rough year, I know. We all want you to be back in school, get back in a normal routine again, and we just want our community to do their part so we can continue to let those numbers drop down. But I just want to say thank you to our teachers, our students, and our parents, because none of what we could do would be possible without your support and for what you do each and every day. So I want you guys over the next few weeks just to put those laptops away, just take a moment to breathe, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, safely, of course. But just take that time to reflect and appreciate the people around you, and take an escape from schoolwork for a little bit. Thank Dr. Gaddis and his team as always, and I wish you all a happy holiday and a happy new year.
Thank you.
Margot? Unmute.
There we go. All right. There's nothing left to be said. Dr. Gaddis started it off, and then Patty, and now Troy. There's really nothing left to be said, except that we've worked hard during this pandemic. We've taken some knocks, some hard knocks, but we stood up right afterwards. So I just want to say thank you to the staff here at the Somerset County Public School System. You do a yeoman's job. That's all I can say. You do a yeoman's job, and we're just here to ditto what you do, so to speak. But anyway, I do want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we pray, Patty, we pray that 2021 will be different from 2020. This has been a year I can't even begin to talk about what all of the challenges that we faced. But thank God we're still here and we're still in our right minds. So we just pray for good sense for the holiday. Stay safe and love your families. Love your family.
Thank you, Margot.
I'm done. Because I'm tearing up, so I've got to quit.
Okay.
I have to quit.
Mr. Jeffers, would you like to say anything?
Well, I would like to wish Patty the very best and tell her it's been a pleasure working with her. I also enjoy working with all of you, but this has been an unusual year for all of us, and we've sort of gotten our way through it. So I just want to say two things. One, to everybody, enjoy the holidays, but please be safe. And bear in mind, as Dr. Gaddis said, that we are bound by the metrics of what's happening with the virus in Somerset County. And only you, by being as careful as you can help us get these kids back in school where we want them to be. Have a great holiday.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffers.
Well, I'm going to start off by first saying, if we ever start a meeting again, those rides to Annapolis won't be the same.
Oh, thank you, Penny.
I'm tearing up. So I would just want to thank everybody for their patience. I want to thank my board. I have the best board, and I'm sure Caleb will make it very well too. Again, it's been a tough year in so many ways, but we'll get through it. Because as Tracy always says, we're little, but we're mighty. I've been blessed to have a board like I've had. So with that said, yes, we want our children back in school. Yes, we want them back in sports. Yes, we want them back in chorus. We want them back in band, but we want them back safe. And that's the key. So again, not to beat a horse till he can't walk, but wash your hands, wear the mask. I won't say it like our governor does, but it's important. And there are strength in numbers if we all do what we're supposed to do. So with that, enjoy your family, find joy and peace, and have a happy new year. See you next year. With that said, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to do that, please. Motion to adjourn.
Second, Troy Brittingham.
It has been moved by Miss Patty Monk and Mr. Troy Brittingham to adjourn. May I have a roll call vote for that? Chairperson Nicholson votes yes. Ms. Margot?
Yes.
Mr. Wells is not with us this evening. Board Member Troy Brittingham?
Aye.
And Patty, you've already done it, so, but Patty Monk?
Aye.
Okay. It's a unanimous decision. We are adjourned.